Yo, I see we're starting to get a few people in here. Let me know if you guys can hear and see everything okay. I haven't done a live stream on YouTube in years, and I don't remember if I have it set up right or not. So if you could let me know in the chat if everything looks and sounds like it should, that would be much appreciated. I'm just gonna post this on Twitter and stuff like that to hopefully get a few more viewers here. Just give me one sec, guys. Loud and clear, right on. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, basically just gonna kind of watch what Bitcoin's doing because it's been volatile as hell today. So just gonna kind of live analyze, kind of see what happens with the Fibonacci's, with some indicators, stuff like that. Right now, Bitcoin's been just dumping ever since. I mean, we hit my weekly target pretty much bang on. That is the 786. I guess this is the 4 hour, but it's the same chart as the weekly. Just most people are more familiar with the 4 hour chart. But yeah, this is just basically we had a structure break. We got a retest of the 786 Fibonacci. Basically, pinpoint accurate here with a little bit of a double toppy formation with the bearish RSI divergence. So yeah, got that dump. Is it going to get bought right back up? You know, it's absolutely possible. First things first, we just got to see what happens. Right now we just still have a series of lower highs and lower lows. So, and this is just the 1 minute, so obviously that's the first step, right? I'm in two juicy shorts right now. I've closed most of them. I have about 30% running on both of them right now, with stop losses, just kind of a small profit basically to cover fees at this point. Pretty much break even. But yeah, basically I took these earlier this morning and they played out great. I've been taking profits this whole way because even if I'm incorrect and this market, like let's just say that the market does recover very quickly and aggressively here, and maybe my theories are wrong about a potential bigger nuke coming. You know what? Then I still made great money on the way down. That was a very that was a good few minutes, basically, a good couple of hours. Those couple trade ups to play out. So even if they get stopped out at this point, they were beautiful trades. So I don't know. I have no FOMO on the market right now just because every week I have been talking about this as a weekly target. Because I did turn bullish briefly when there was that 4 hour reversal. I did get bullish for a while, but I made it very clear that my targets were still the weekly Stuber bearish fibs, and we just tested that this morning. Everyone was getting FOMO going into the Trump speaking. People are blindly longing into that, trading off that gut feeling rather than what the charts are actually doing. So when we had, I mean, you can see here, we had a very obvious break in structure right here, right? It was even retested from the bottom there. And again, the fact that that was lining up with a weekly level of resistance, I don't know. I will just, the way I look at trading is I don't follow the news and stuff because it is easy to get wrapped up in it. And, you know, as far as an investment, great. I would consider following fundamentals and stuff like that. But if you're trying to trade on the news, I mean, the chart structure will show if that news matters or not. And at this point, Trump speaking and whatnot, it's still in a downtrend. Even right now, the lower high is still up here, right? We just basically came back, tested the Stuber fib again. Saw a bit of a rejection. This is the most strength we've seen since this selling. I'll give it that. But we're just going to have some more resistance ahead, right? If we do end up getting a good bounce here. We just technically have a higher up Stuber fib now with this structure as well. So no matter what, you know, Bitcoin's got some work to do. This was absolutely a beautiful rally we have had, but really we just came up and tested that 786 absolutely pinpoint accurately. So I'm having a hard time turning into a moon boy at this point. The only thing that's still keeping me somewhat bullish is that the market's only, I think retail's only something like 50% long right now, and I was expecting it to be more like 70-75% long as we approach these resistance levels. So I'm still open to the idea of you know, going a little bit higher, and that's why I am making sure to pay myself quickly on trades still, right? I'm more of a scalper than a swing trader, so whenever I'm taking positions, I'm always closing at least a quarter to half of my position very quickly. And yeah, now at this point, I have, like I said, I have about 30% in each of these positions left risk free. And yeah, that way, even if I'm wrong, I still made great money. So I really can't complain if they get stopped out at this point. How are you guys feeling on the market? I know there's a lot of moon boys out there right now, but there's also a lot of doom and gloomers. And I know I fit more under the doom and gloom right now just because we are at that weekly resistance level. But honestly, I'm good either way, right? I never sold all of my spot holdings or anything like that. I'm not married to the idea of a massive downtrend. It's more so, I just keep saying it because it's very easy to start getting FOMO, especially when, you know, you're on crypto Twitter or stuff like that. It's really easy to get wrapped up in FOMO, and it kind of clouds your judgment when you're actually looking at the charts trying to trade them, right? So yeah, I don't know. As we just get towards these resistance levels, I just like to remember that on a macro time frame, we are technically at resistance. Yes, the shorter time frames looked great right up until kind of middle of this morning. And then all of a sudden they didn't look so hot anymore because we tested a weekly level, right? So the shorter time frames are obviously reacting very violently to that level because that is pinpoint accurate, you guys. That higher high signal is right on that weekly 786. Want to short to the front gate of hell. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I would love to see that big nuke because honestly, the thing is, guys, like I know for the last several months now, well, month or two, I guess, I have been quite vocally bearish, and that I've actually lost followers on Twitter for being bearish, even though I absolutely nailed the calls that I made at the time. But that's just because people I've loved being a part of an echo chamber and just hearing what they want to hear, right? So, but the thing is, guys, I'm not a perma bear. It's not like that at all. In fact, I would actually say that I'm bullish enough, and I've been quite a moon boy for the last 2 years or so. The only reason why I'm bearish on the price is because I'm so bullish as a whole. Like, I would love to see the price get nuked because I would love to buy it cheaper. A lot of people get scared by that, whereas I don't think I'm lucky enough to get that. So if we get it, I want to see the potential bearish scenario playing out in the chart so that when it happens, I'm not one of the people FOMO selling or panic selling at the very bottom like what a lot of people did after the FTX collapse, right? That started a big capitulation event, and then a lot of people sold the bottom there because they just weren't ready for it. Whereas now, if we end up trading down towards some of those crazy black swan event levels, I'm going to have limit orders set there because I don't follow the news. I don't give a shit what's happening. I'm just playing the charts for the setups that I always do. And that weekly chart, unfortunately, is a bearish one that I look at on 5-minute charts and stuff like that. But again, guys, I am very happy to be invalidated. You know, like if we start, and obviously this is just the 1 minute, but looks like, you know, we're starting to see some strength. Maybe we do break these lower highs and we start setting a trend of higher highs, higher lows. And let's just say that we do end up just blasting through this resistance box. It's absolutely possible that this candle just comes through with momentum and smashes through it. Then you know what? Then, yeah, maybe I have to reconsider my bearish bias at that point. But at this point, I'm just kind of looking at it as, hey, we're trading at resistance, so be a little bit cautious, right? If we blast through this, I'm not getting wrecked. I'm just going to finish taking profits on my couple positions, and I still have most of my spot bags. So, you know, I'm bearish on the price, but I really, if we go up, I'm not going to lose money on it. Yeah. As far as invalidation points for me, basically I like to use my 115 as invalidation. So as far as the bearish setup, I mean, technically that's way up around close to 77,000. You know, it's possible we get one more failed break to the upside, because something I wanted to mention is on the weekly chart here, I do see reason why we could go quite a bit higher actually, but still not necessarily be in like blue sky breakout territory. just because we did have this support line, right? I mean, not everybody likes diagonal support. I like them because this was respected 3 times very accurately. So to see us lose that, it would make a lot of sense to retest it from the other side, get a support resist flip. And that would actually line up very well with that 115 fib level that, that's kind of my invalidation level as far as Stuber fib setups go. So those 2 things actually line up quite well. So there is absolutely a possibility that we get one more failed break to the upside. If, however, we start closing candle bodies above this 886, I think at that point I would be a lot more cautious if I was still trying to catch a bearish play. I think I would start to be cautiously bullish at that point. But again, like I'm trading the shorter time frames anyways, right? Like I'm usually trading the 5 minute or the 1 minute, and I'm entering positions as scalps, and that's why I said earlier I'm taking a quarter to half my position quickly and then just updating stop loss and hope to catch a runner with the rest, because a lot of people make the mistake of getting into a position like this, and then all of a sudden, the 1 minute looks like it's reversing, so I'm going to exit my entire position, but then you end up getting the full bigger move you were hoping so, but it just took a little, it took a different approach than you were thinking, took longer to play out or whatever. Then it makes it very stressful the whole way down, trying to figure out if you should get back into your position because maybe your theory was correct, right? So that's where I like to close a little bit, but I love to let some of my position run risk-free if I can, because then you can catch those home runs as well on top of your scalp, right? But yeah, as it stands right now, basically this chart, I have it kind of mapped out how it is. Like the range high is up here because that's obviously where we had some structure breaks. We kind of changed the trend when we broke, especially when we started closing below this wick back here. That's a lower low signal. Notice that if I pull a Fibonacci at that point, same thing, right? We got rejected at the 886, 786 fib box there. So I don't want to have too much shit on my chart here, but just to show you how those play out, right? So that was the range high, the 886, 786 found resistance there. Then we end up breaking that lower low. So we've set a lower low again. So now our lower high is the highest point between these two. So I'm, just to give more wiggle room, just to keep things a little bit looser, I'm still using the full range. I'm still pulling my fib from the range high right here where we've so far have our all-time highs, and then just pulled to the bottom of where we've bottomed out so far, basically. But if you wanted to do it a little bit different, just based on a typical Stuber fib kind of a thing, since we had this structure break here, low, lower low, you could technically also pull a fib like so from that lower high down to the lower low, and notice that same thing, right? We're still in the same Fibonacci pocket. Just we're getting, kind of into the middle of the fib pocket rather than respecting the 786 perfectly. So it really depends how you want to draw it there. Held the MDX short, built it up to 68,970, just took profits as it's about to get wild. Get into a good position time. Would love a good nuke. Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, that was another thing. The fact that MDX was also starting to be looking for that big nuke. That's just a little extra confluence for me, right? I always, I still always love to take my own trades, but, if somebody kind of that I respect in the analysis world says something like that, and I do respect what he says, then, I'm willing to add that to basically another signal on my indicator, right? Another thing that we had after, look at this, we are starting to get above those lower highs, so the 1 minute is showing some signs of life here. Another thing that happened for this dump here, which is a way I use these indicators. Sorry, I'm actually just going to remove drawings here. I want to bring up what the indicators were doing there. And another thing that was keeping me bearish and was able to catch this was just because we had the indicators agreeing that we had just kind of watching for how they were trending, right? I know some of you guys here are from the MDX Algo community. If any of you guys are not from that community, there is a 10% additional discount on a link I'll have down below. Yeah, it basically has a dozen or more beautiful indicators, but this is actually my own setting here, the Trendmaster indicator. I have a preset StuTube setting, so for those of you guys who are in the group, you've probably seen that by now. But yeah, just basically the way I like to have that indicator specifically set up. That would just be this indicator, the Trendmaster. But so I don't take every signal on its own as basically a winning signal. It's more so I like to use it for seeing which way it's pointing out a trend, right? So in this case, we had a series of lower sell signals. Sell, lower sells, lower sell, and then just dumped. Same thing on the buy signals, right? Lower buy, lower buy. Right now, a lower buy. So, you know, something to watch for would be, again, a lower sell signal, just that, hey, maybe the trend is continuing to the downside, right? That's how I really like to use these indicators. Same with the W's, those reversal warnings on the trend dynamic indicator. That's kind of the first indicator that I started doing that with. I just love the way that indicator makes my charts look, by the way. But yeah, just using these reversal warnings. Again, I don't necessarily take each one to be, you know, its own legit signal, but as soon as you get those reversals, like here, for example, right? Higher W, higher W. Well, what happens when all of a sudden we get a lower W, right? Just a beautiful sell signal there. Just again, just warning that the trend may be shifting, right? Yeah, it's weird. Bitcoin's last 2 days, bearish divergence didn't come to the fore until exactly during Trump's speech. Now it's climbing again right after. Yeah, that's the thing, right? There's been a ton of hype around Trump speaking at this thing, and there's always a ton of hype around these crypto rallies and stuff, but quite often we see the market nuke after them. And yeah, it just seemed like another thing lining up with, hey, as we're getting to that 786 Fibonacci level, we get a gentle rejection off it, so we have that reaction. And it was like, I think it was damn near the minute Trump was supposed to go live that that Bitcoin just absolutely dumped. We tapped a 786 just now. Would that be something like so if I were to eyeball it? 786, 886 if we go with that swing there. Good to see some of the leggies made it. I think Kieran's streaming right now, so just a heads up. If you just want to have my charts in the background and listen to what he's saying, he always has great things that he's talking about too, so that's another thing for those of you who aren't in the MDX Algo community. That's another thing on top of the indicators, right? Is and I honestly think it's more than half the value is the community of traders. There's so much knowledge in that group and so many different approaches, because we could all have the exact same charts, the same indicators, the same settings and everything, and we would trade the market completely different, right? So it's nice having different mentors, different coaches, different people's opinions about how things look. You know, it's always good to just see different approaches and find out what works for you, right? That's another thing with back testing, right? You should always do back testing before trading with actual money, just to kind of know what you typically see in the markets and how it works out, what your probabilities are, right? But yeah, it's such an awesome community to be a part of. Everyone gets along great, and everyone's very active in there and posting their opinions on the market. And yeah, it's a great community. So cheers to you guys. Had to just Slam the rest of my Tim Hortons coffee, naturally, eh? Yeah, this is going to be interesting because this candle's. How long is it yet? There's about 2.5 hours left on this candle. It's definitely trying to reverse, but we'll see. Yeah, ooh, look at that. I actually have a feeling that I'm probably out of my shorts at this point. Oh no. Can I reload this? There we go. Still got them in there. Okay, one of them's definitely closed. Oh no, I think they're both closed now. Yeah. But those were some great shorts. That was this is some juicy volatility. I am loving this. But now I have to find a new position at some point. I think what I would like to see would be something like that. Now that there was actually a break of some lower highs like this, I would love to see a pullback and take a swing at a long. Or are we just at a new... Oh. You know what? I'll start building a little short again. I've got profits to burn through now, right? Good question. The difference between Stuber fibs and normal fibs. Um, so basically, in the community, somebody else had a setup called Uber Fibs, and I like to throw my name in everything I can. So I made a Fibonacci setup that I named the Stuber Fibs. But basically, what they are is just because I really like the 786, 886 Fibonacci levels. There is a little more to it than that. I'd like to see a structure break before that pullback to that level. So let's say down here, for example, this is probably the same Fibonacci pocket that took off, but it's, yeah, see 786 and took off from there. I don't actually consider that a Stuber setup because there wasn't a structure break before that pullback. So quite often the 786 and 886 is still very well respected, and this is a perfect example. It just doesn't meet the criteria of having that structure break first, so there's just a little less of the probabilities of it carrying on in that direction, carrying on that momentum after that pullback, right? So that's basically the only difference. I just got in the habit of saying it. I don't actually have a video specifically about those setups. No. Um, I've done a couple mentorships where I've taught them, but I mean, for the most part, it's just I basically teach them on all of my streams because it's one of the main things that I look for when I'm looking for potential trade setups and stuff. So it's just like anything. I almost say, like, when it comes to charting and stuff, it's almost like you're learning different languages, right? The more you see it and hear it, the more you're going to start to see it. Like, um, I basically already explained how simple it is. It's just that when you're not used to looking at them or pointing them out, it's easy to miss them. Whereas, like, I see them all the time, even if they're not worth playing. It's like, oh, I can see a little 786 in there. Look at trees. If a tree is a different size, I joke about this every stream. Like, trees are different sizes. I can see the fibs in them. Like, buildings, different height buildings. I swear I can see like 786 pullbacks on buildings and shit. Like, you just start to see it everywhere, right? That, or maybe I'm a little autistic. Who knows, right? But yeah, just the more you see it, the more you will see it, kind of a thing. And that's just one of my favorite trade strategies. If you go for more of like a swing fail position, like looking for if we would have actually swept these lows and got back there, um, obviously you're gonna have a tighter stop in that kind of a case, just because you've already tested below those levels, so you have a very nice reference point for a stop loss and that sort of thing. um, so swing fails and stuff like that are probably a little bit safer, but I've noticed that the 786 886 get respected so often. Obviously not all the time, just like any trade setup. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. No setup works 100% of the time, but that's one of those ones where at least you're getting closer to a retest of the range. Whereas if you're just looking at playing breakout trades, they can be quite dangerous because your invalidation is so far away, right? Every trader loses trades. It's just a matter of basically keeping your losses controlled, right? Always use a stop loss or proper position sizing, stuff like that. Always know what's the worst case scenario if a trade goes wrong. No matter how sure you are, I've been so vocally bearish the last couple months, but as I said at the start of this video, if I'm wrong on that idea, it doesn't matter. Like, that's the thing. Analyzing is one thing, but reacting is a totally another game, and trading is way more important to be able to react to. Well, if this happens, I'm ready to do this. If this happens, I'm ready to do this. If anybody's going to tell you that they know exactly what's going to happen, if they just say, we're going to the moon just because I say so, people who are saying that we're bullish no matter what. That's just a dangerous game to play because it doesn't sound like there's a backup plan, right? And usually people who have strong opinions don't even show anything in a chart with any sort of evidence. So even if they're right, it's just... It's more so... there's nothing wrong with being bullish right now. Let me be clear about that. It's more so just to suggest that there's zero red flags in the charts. If on the weekly, for example, we're setting lower lows still, yeah, this can easily be invalidated, but it hasn't been yet, right? So when people are saying they know exactly what's going to happen, I actually trust those people a lot less than people say, hey, if scenario A happens, this is what I'm looking for. If scenario B happens, I'm looking for this, right? But yeah, this would be one of those times, right? We obviously broke this structure to the downside. and then we pull that Fibonacci. So that's where this is a Stuber Fib setup, right? Because we had this structure break. Like technically way back here, this is where our structure broke and we started this downswing. So that's where we can pull our fib from, because that's the range high, right? Where did we get down to? Way down here. So that's my range pull. And again, it can be invalidated, especially right now. Be careful trading right now, you guys, because the market's extremely volatile. That goes for both directions. There's a lot of emotion attached to this whole Bitcoin rally, Trump speaking, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of factors at play right now. When I trade, I don't follow the news at all. But what I do follow, I guess, is just understanding that things might be volatile, so just be careful when you're trading. Or like maybe, you know, if things get wild, just give the market a few hours to calm its titties, do whatever you got to do, right? That's more so where I pay attention to these events, is more so just a time frame to be careful during. Yeah, so far struggling there. Let's just see what happens. See how this plays out. If we break above the high of this range, I'm just gonna cut my losses. I'm not gonna give it until my invalidation points, just because I think the markets are so emotional right now that I think if the bearish trend is gonna continue here, I would like to see it happen sooner than later. So technically, we are still setting a series of higher highs, higher low, higher high, higher low. So the immediate trend is still to the upside. It's just more so this entire pullback throughout the day. But like, that was a steep recovery, right? I mean, I can't ignore that. It's not like we took this ferocious dump to the downside and then just slowly grinded up towards resistance. Then that would be showing a little bit more weakness in my opinion. But the fact that we shot up just as fast as we shot down, right? The same people who sold are probably the same people buying it back now. But yeah, the only thing to consider is we haven't yet broken the high, right? We're still in the same range, and we are getting into the resistance level of this range. So it's just a time to be cautious, right? Yeah, the fact that we broke these lower high signals down here, that makes me think that the trend might be reversing to the upside. But again, we're just kind of getting to that resistance level. So yeah, the thing is with that Trump speech, that's why I never enter a trade based on any sort of fundamental situation. I always wait for the charts to prove it, because if some sort of news, like if him speaking was going to be bullish, then you'd still see higher highs and higher lows forming, whereas we dumped off a cliff as soon as he started talking. I think it was more of a, I don't know, in my opinion, it seems like it was a very quick sell the news kind of event. I'm actually surprised to see us recovering like we are right now. I'm pretty impressed by that actually, but I wasn't at all surprised to see us dump just because everyone was so bullish going into his speech right as we were trading up towards resistance. Another thing to consider is if I bring up this liquidations indicator, you can see that we kind of grabbed most of the high leverage liquidity that was to the upside because the market makers love to grab that, right? So all these yellow, goldy, browny lines here, this is all 50 to 100x leverage liquidation levels basically. And see how we grabbed most of them. Some of them started disappearing, so I don't know if that means orders were pulled or what happened. People chickened out early of their positions, whatever. But we're starting to see some of this liquidity forming to the downside, right? So that would make a lot of sense that soon we would see some kind of a rejection and then test back down. Even if we remained bullish, even if we just set a higher low, something like that, that would also line up with the target range or the range target of that Stuber fib pull. Again, maybe we don't make it there, but that's just kind of what I look for in one of those full range swings like that. So that would line up really well with grabbing some of that high leverage liquidity as well. Yeah, and I don't really follow the news that closely, but I did hear that Israel was under attack or something like that. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. But as far as the news goes, that could be another thing that's going to be used to explain why we dump. But again, I always just think that there's always several reasons that the media can explain price movement. Like Israel being attacked, apparently a new virus outbreak in India, Trump speaking. There was so many things that no matter what happened with the price, there was already a news article ready to say, this is why this happened. That's my problem with trying to trade any sort of news or media or any fundamentals at all, because there's always something there ready to explain why it happened, when chances are it was just kind of market structure doing its thing, the market maker doing his thing. And again, like, that's not to say that things don't affect the price, right? Like those things happening at those levels, yeah, it's a little bit of a coincidence, whatever. It's more so just seeing if it does end up making the market react at all, right? Um, I guess the charts will just show it, whereas we are never going to be early to any information, right? Like, we generally can't play news or anything like that. Like, I just don't have a way to use any sort of fundamentals to my advantage with trading, whereas with charts everyone's kind of on the same playing field, right? Because you're watching it happen live. Because I remember I started trading this market um, basically right here. So this entire time there was so much bullish news happening, and I used that news to wreck myself repeatedly. Because I just kept reading fundamental things that were good for the space and all that sort of thing, but at the end that didn't matter, right? Market structure just did its thing, it carried on its downtrend and went to the downside. Yes, it's great for the next market cycle, kind of a thing, and yes, it does, things do happen either way, but like, yeah, just to try and play news like that, I've just burned myself. Maybe some people can do it, some can't. Either way, I just typically don't trade what I read very well. And also, I just always feel like if I try to throw fundamentals into things, that's just another place where I can get things incorrect, right? If I maybe misunderstand something with the economy or something like that, that's just another place where I can make an error. At least if I'm just reading charts, it's like, well, there's only one place I can fuck up, kind of a thing. 4 hour candle. Yeah, so far that candle does have a lot of strength. I will agree with that. Like if it closes, I would like to see it close above this wick, honestly. But even above the candle bodies would be at least a nice first step. There is a little over 2 hours until this closes, though. So we will see how it actually closes. See, here's one of those things, guys, where even if this trade does go against me and I end up getting stopped out, you can just see that, you know, since we had this downtrend, there's an obvious reaction in this fib pocket, right? That's why I love this Fibonacci pocket so much, is because it's respected so often. So again, yeah, it doesn't work out every time. Maybe it goes against me, but there's just an obvious reaction here, right between the 786 and 886. So if that 4 hour candle can smash us through this and actually close above resistance here, then I would agree that things look quite bullish. But if this ends up rejecting us right now, we could very quickly have that 4 hour candle not being engulfing anymore, right? So we'll have to see what happens over the next 2 hours. Down towards the devil level, 666. Where is it? Oh, basically where we bottomed, hey? Man, that level's been respected a lot lately. Yeah, I mean, I could see us going back down there and retesting again. But we're gonna have to see if the bulls do push us, let's say above old resistance here, and end up finding support, getting that resist support flip. Then yeah, you know what? Maybe we're going all the way to the weekly 886 or something like that, right? That would be a push all the way up towards 71.4 ish. So yeah, it's possible, right? Like my bearish theory with the weekly chart, that's the thing, is that has a lot of wiggle room yet, right? We basically have to smash through all-time highs for that to be invalidated. But that being said, even if we do get rejected here, like that's big enough price levels that, yeah, obviously when you're trading shorter time frames and stuff like that, there's plenty of bullish trades to take in that situation as well, right? So we do still have this buy trend holding strong. My only concern with that is it is a lower buy signal, right? I would love to see us lose this indicator and see a lower sell signal come into play. That would be my ideal situation right now, but the market maker doesn't give a damn what my feelings are, right? So we're just gonna see what happens. Hooked, huh? been been flying the last few days. I think I got like a 3 or a 4x out of this at this point, just over the course of a few days. But this was one of those coins that just kind of looked like it died, right? It just looks like a full bear market. Small market cap, total degen meme coin stuff. But yeah, basically fell off a cliff after its initial hype. Looks like an entire bear market, rounding bottom as soon as we started breaking some of this tight consolidation here. Just absolutely on a moon mission, right? So but when it comes to meme coins, you guys, they're high risk as fuck. I keep my holdings in them very small, and I am quick to take, you know, if I get a 2 or 3x, I'm looking to take out my initial investment very quickly, because I mean they get rugged all the time, right? I totally forgot to share this on my Twitter. Whoops. For those of you guys who are here who aren't in the MDX Algo community, I mentioned this earlier, but that's where my indicators come from. There is here in my invite only. I mean, there's a whole list of them, just a whole slew of beautiful indicators. They make my charts look good. A lot of very useful strategies to come out from these indicators. There is a 10% discount down below if you want access to those indicators, as well as the VIP Discord, where that's where we're seeing people putting some of these strategies to use. There's 2 or 3 daily live streams in the group put on by coaches like myself, but also half a dozen others, everyone with their own strengths and stuff like that. So wonderful community to be a part of. So if that's something that interests you, check that out. And as far as where I'm trading, I have been trading on Blofin recently. I do still have this promotion running that they gave me about a week back. There is only a few days left on this, if this is something that interests you. As well, outside of this whole promo here, I also have put the cashback on your trading fees as high as I could to 20%. So yeah, I've been enjoying the exchange. No KYC, that's where I've mostly been trading. So if you need another no KYC or just need an additional account or just want to take part in this real quick or whatever, there's a link down below for that as well. But yeah, be sure to follow me on Twitter as well. Posting on there quite often. Yeah, see, so far we are seeing a little bit of rejection here. One thing to notice about the candle colors with my trend dynamic indicator here is they are starting to look a little bit bullish because we're getting near this trend and they're starting to turn a little bit green. We might see strength come in fairly quick. We got the money flow cloud flipped red. There's still... You know what? Yeah, the bulls need to get at least through this red box here, that 786, 886. The fact that we're getting rejected there is not great. Thanks for streaming today. Oh, thanks for watching. I know not everybody's into trading the 1 minute or whatever, but you know, I just thought things are quite volatile right now and figured may as well hop on, see what happens. Oh, I should add my new entry on there, hey? That's where I ended up getting my entry. And like I said, if we break through the highs here, then I'm just gonna cut my losses. Don't want to accidentally eat away through all of the profits I just made on those 2 juicy shorts. I'd rather keep some of that, so love these streams. Well, right on. I love doing them. Like I've said in these streams before, you know, they help me keep a level head, right? It's a lot easier to stick to my plan when I say it out loud a million times. This kind of acts as my trading journal, right? Because even if things go wrong, at least I kind of know what my plan was, right? It's easier to stick to my plan as I say it out loud. So You know, I'm getting something out of these as well. And you know what? I'm learning from you guys in the group as well. Like, everybody has their own way of looking at things, and yeah, it's just awesome. Yeah, I love looking at the 1 to 5 minute. And obviously, I don't have a ton to talk about for the whole thing here, but yeah, I just kind of, you know what? I'm babysitting some market volatility right now, anyways, so I may as well sit here and do it, right? We got to the basically my weekly structure level, pinpoint accurately, and now I have to be cautious in both directions, right? Because either we're going to blast right through it soon, or we are in for a much bigger correction than a lot of people want to see. So yeah, I'm that's the thing. Most people should be swing trading and are better at swing trading in my opinion. A lot of people struggle with the shorter time frames. Honestly, that's because people get greedy and forget what size of a swing they're actually trading. You know, if you're playing a very small range on a 1 minute, you got to remember to be taking profits on a very small range on the 1 minute, right? Not looking for a 4 hour move. But honestly, me myself, a lot of people don't like the stress of scalping. I find it stressful to try and be in a swing trade because I just feel like I always want to start getting some of my position out very quickly because I just feel like scam wicks happen. Um, all it takes, you know, you have something running for days and all of a sudden you get taken out in a matter of an hour or something like that. I mean, that kind of thing hurts. So I'd rather just have my quick, basically, I know relatively quickly if my position is going to work out or not. I really want to see us lose this buy trend and get a lower sell signal. That's the only thing right now. It's a little bit concerning about this short, but do I trade any of the other top tens? Not overly. I trade some meme coins a little bit, but that's spot. I did trade XRP a couple times the other day, but I mostly just focus on Bitcoin, just because then I can watch more closely if I'm only watching one thing. And I've been burned on trading altcoins before just due to trading volume and slippage and stuff like that. So I've just there's more trade volume on Bitcoin and stuff like that. And honestly, the way I look at altcoins is kind of just adding extra leverage to Bitcoin because usually things kind of move the same direction, right? Just altcoins, you know, if Bitcoin's going up, altcoins are doing better. If Bitcoin's going down, altcoins are doing worse. So it just kind of, to me, if I wanted to add that extra volatility, I could just crank up the leverage a little more with Bitcoin. That's kind of my reasoning for mostly trading Bitcoin. How did I know where to take profit or close a short during the speech? Basically, just along the way. I when I enter a trade, especially when I'm trading on a shorter time frame like this, I'm just nibbling away at taking profits. Like, you know, if I get these reversal warnings on the way down, I'm considering just taking a little bit of profits. When we actually broke above this little W pattern here, I took a little more profits. But again, I left some run and I left my stop loss at just a little better than break even to cover fees and just a little extra profit. But I love to leave a good chunk of my position run. Yeah, I would have made quite a bit more money had I just closed the whole thing down here. But I didn't know if it was going to reverse there or not, right? So I just liked the stress-free approach of knowing that, hey, if we keep nuking, I'm in a beautiful position. If not, I just take a little more profits and then I have to find a new position. So never really an all or nothing. Also, like when I ladder into trade or when I'm entering trades, I often ladder in as well. I ladder into positions, I ladder out of positions because it just helps reduce risk, reduce stress, just makes you see things with a more level head, I guess. Because it's stressful. If you're trying to consider if you should close an entire position or not, that's stressful. I could also bring up, let's say with the trend dynamic indicator, I could bring up take profit signals and see if that would have given us good ones. But I just kind of, I don't know, I've been scalping long enough that I just kind of take profits as I see fit. Let me get rid of some of these W's. I think they're being covered. There is one behind this W here. There's one behind this W here. But yeah, and also just like breaking above this indicator, just looking like we're going to reverse here potentially. Just another reason to downsize risk a little bit, pay myself a little bit, but and also actually another reason for taking profits along the way. Let me just show you how I also use my Fibonacci's for that, right? Like one of the reasons I took profits, I think it was the last take profit that I hit, was because we had this structure, right? We had this low, we had a lower low, here's our lower high, and actually I can bring up the auto charting tools because it had the lower high signal. Sorry, let me just clean this up a little bit. Yeah, we had this lower high signal, so then I was able to pull a Fibonacci, right? We end up getting that rejection there. But since we did get this kind of a Fibonacci retrace, whenever we get that size of a move, or when we get that reaction within the range, so we're just going back towards support of that range, the 214 fib is kind of my range target. Like not quite the opposite end, because the 214 is actually basically the exact opposite 786 fib pull. If I would typically be looking to long a 786 reversal, then I'm also looking to take profits around that level, right? So if I look for an opposite Fibonacci pull here, where we ended up topping out on that little rally, notice where we end up pulling back to right in the 786, 886. So that's why I have this 214 fib there, is it's basically that target of that 786, just front running it slightly. So since we had that Stuber fib setup playing out, I ended up just taking another nibble off my position because I was in profit taking mode, right? The position was running beautifully, but things were also volatile. Just knowing that the speech was happening, it honestly makes me not really want to be in a position. Like obviously the fact I was already in a nice one, well, two, it was great to see that volatility, but to actually enter trades on that volatility does get quite stressful as well, right? So that's where basically knowing that there's that type of volatility happening, basically that was a nice Stuber fib pullback, and the fact that it came right back to the bottom of that range, I was just willing to take a little more profits, right? So I have different things I look for. I look for, trending signals on my indicators. I look for Fibonacci pullbacks. Those are kind of the two main things that I always look for. And see, even right now, like, yeah, it's hard to say if I'm going to win on this trade or not. But you can just see that, this 786, 886 fib pocket is just showing a little bit of strength as far as, bearish strength, some resistance, right? And when I take a setup like this, I also usually, my first take profit is actually, so here, I was talking about this basically being my range play, right? I'm hoping this is kind of my target for this whole swing to play out. But I usually have another fib up there. I just removed it recently just to keep things a little bit cleaner, but the 0.5 fib. I usually have that up, and that's kind of my first take profit. As soon as we kind of get halfway through the range is where I start to think that, hey, if there is some bullish strength here, it's possible we just come to the middle of this range and then recover from there. So just to remove a little bit of risk, pay for fees, pay myself a little bit if it works out, and then hoping to catch, next take profit, and then hoping it absolutely nukes from there. And basically, when I enter a position, because I do use fairly high leverage and I am trading shorter time frames, when I enter a position, I'm basically looking for reasons to get out, right? So if all of a sudden the indicators point something out that I was missing, then I'm going to consider taking profits a little bit early. Or, you know, if I'm in a small loss, maybe the indicators point something else and I'm like, I still want to be in this position, but it's giving me this warning. Maybe I'll cut my position in half. You know, I kind of use them for risk management, taking profits, taking entries, a little bit of everything. Leverage, I am currently using 69x leverage. Um, when I trade altcoins, I use a lot less, but like I said, I don't trade altcoins very much. And if I'm trading a longer time frame, even a 5-minute chart, I'll use less leverage. If I'm trading a 1 hour or something, then I'm looking at more like 15-20x leverage. And that being said, understand that I'm also considering position size, because if I'm using leverage that's that high, I'm using a small percentage of my margin available, right? Like if the trade goes against me and I take a 30% loss, for example, that's by no means my whole account, right? What are the indicators saying on the 4 hour? Um, on the 4 hour, something that is catching my eye right now is that we have a lower buy signal, significantly lower buy signal on the Trendmaster indicator. We don't have a lower sell signal yet, but that, again, that's something to watch for. That would just give me a little bit more, just more of confirmation that things are going to reverse at this level. Like I said, liquidation is starting to build to the downside. There is still more a little bit higher. That would be more so the 886 fib. And yeah, there is liquidity all the way up to that level. So yeah, there's still wiggle room to the upside as far as the macro pattern goes. Just in case some of you guys haven't been in many of my streams before, just to kind of show you how this pattern has played out in the past, where we end up getting, setting lower lows and getting this very specific RSI divergence where we go from overextended conditions back down to the 70 level. We can see what happened the last few times that has happened. This is kind of one of the reasons, well, this is the main reason why I got fairly bearish on June 13th. I did a stream about it. And I was basically warning that, hey, the last few times we've got this signal on a weekly time frame, we've seen some very serious corrections. Not saying it has to happen again, but it's a possibility, right? Position sizing. I don't trade with too big of position sizes. Like usually if I'm trading the 1 minute, I'm trading with like with leverage, I'm trading like 1 Bitcoin or whatever. Like just kind of just scalping several times a day. And in this volatility, it's been great. I'm not one of them rich guys throwing millions of dollars on each of these 1 minute trades, that's for sure. 4 hour, we also got this bearish divergence here. Started losing that buy signal. Would love to see that lower sell signal. Is anyone else in any positions? Are you guys in any longs, any shorts? I was actually in a long last night. I lost a 1 hour short setup that I had. It was a 1 hour Stuber fib setup that I had. Lost that one, but I did end up taking a hedge long at one point because the indicators were starting a higher buy signal, or yeah, the higher buys were forming an uptrend on the 1 minute. So I ended up taking it, and I actually forgot about it. It was a tight stop, so I didn't really care about it, and I went to sleep, and I woke up, and the market had this beautiful pump. I think just back here I ended up getting in. So I caught this whole thing, and I closed, like, I think it was 3/4 of it or something right as we got up to my 786 target, and that's kind of where I flipped bearish. But even that point, even though I was extremely bearish at this level, I still left, you know, that quarter of my long position open, because in case I was wrong and it was going to continue to on a moon mission, then I was going to be sitting good, right? That's the beautiful situation with hedging, you know, when you can get yourself into a position that, hey, if the long keeps moving, I'm in a great place, but hey, if the market nukes, I'm in a great place. That's a great place to be in. Oh, a bunch of the leggies made it. Welcome, fellas. I don't know how long you've been here, but yeah, so far we got this bearish Stuber. Gonna see what happens. If you weren't here the whole time, basically we got this beautiful double toppy situation right at the weekly 786. That has been my target. I mean, I've been warning about the pullback to the Stuber fib on the weekly for a long time, and yeah, just absolutely beautiful retest here. Oh, I'm not in these positions anymore. TP'd those, but yeah, I'm still in this guy. We'll see what happens with this one. Ooh, cross margin. Cross margin scares me, honestly. Maybe it's just because I've never used it, but that whole taking from other positions really terrifies me. I like using high leverage, low margin amount, just so that I know worst case scenario, I'm just losing that small margin amount, right? Because a stop loss even doesn't necessarily protect you. I've told a lot of people this in my last few streams, that I have been in a position where I had my stop loss in a 5% profit, and that position got liquidated due to slippage. So that's just, oh, we got some spammy stuff going on here. Holy smokes. Remove. That's annoying. What was I saying? I was saying something, probably. I get distracted easily. Oh, cross leverage, right? Yeah. So I have been liquidated, even though my stop loss was in a profit before. So that's just to understand that slippage can happen, and things can go terribly. So that's where I really like isolated leverage, because I know that that's the isolated amount on the trade, right? That's just me personally. I know other people who use cross leverage. I'm just not comfortable with it, because I think it opens yourself up to a little added risk, myself personally. But It's great that you weren't liquidated, though. It worked out in this case. That just scares me, is all. As far as trying to hedge and losing on both, I guess there's a difference. Some people think they're hedging just by opening positions both directions. That's not necessarily a good hedge, right? You want yourself in a good position, and then when you see potential for a reversal, you get yourself into that opposite hedge position. So, like on this trade, I was long from down here. Where was it? I think it was down here somewhere. And then up here, I got myself into some shorts. So that was the hedges. So there was no way that I was going to lose on both, right? That was more of a... That's a very good position to be in, because I didn't care which way the market moved today. But yeah, if I were to just, let's say right now, open a long and a short with stop losses, there's a good chance that they would both get hammered, and then I would lose two positions rather than one, right? Oh, there's another stew in here. Why didn't I just close my long? Yeah, I would have got a little bit more profits had I closed my long up here. But what if we just absolutely melted to the upside? I wanted to have at least a quarter of my position still open, just in case it went to the upside. Because if it kept going up, I would have got stopped out on my short, and I wouldn't have had a long position. Whereas if we just continued going up, my shorts would have got stopped out, and my long would have just continued on. Maybe not necessarily hammering out the absolute maximum profits, but the thing is, very rarely are you ever going to buy the absolute bottom and sell the absolute top, right? So you're just looking for those easy moves, and that was one of those times where it was like, hey, I'm in a very nice situation right now where it's not too often where you have a strong feeling of, I don't care which way the market goes right now. That's a very good feeling to have, because a lot of people very much so want and even need the market to go one direction, right? That's where, when you can get yourself into a good hedge, and it's just like, yeah, at this point, I do not care. I can carry on with my day and not look if I don't want to, sort of a thing. We are pumping again. Well, I don't know if I'd say that's a pump yet. Honestly, if we were to get a pump, I would actually be more bullish if we pulled back down to these levels and got a bounce. Got a higher low bounce. Down around 67K. I would be more bullish if that happened. Especially if, in that case, we get a sell signal and then a higher buy signal. That would just be showing again that the trend may be curling to the upside. Just a little additional confidence in that type of a situation then. Whereas right now, if we just kind of find support right here, I don't know. I just wouldn't feel that great about it, because we're still just trading at resistance. Whereas if we come down to these levels, then we have a nice swing opportunity to catch that bounce. And then next time, maybe we would hammer through that with a little more momentum. As you tap away at resistance, it generally gets weaker. So if we could, approach it a couple times, if we just kind of blast through it on our first attempt at breaking this resistance box, I just don't know if it's actually going to hold strong. I would rather see us, test it, get a proper retrace, test support as well, and then blast through it. Because if the market just moves too fast, then you don't have those support levels, right? Just like on the way down, we traded down so fast, we didn't really have a ton of support forming. or a ton of resistance forming because we went down so fast. Then on the other end, we just basically went the exact same speed to that side, right? So I would actually rather have us form some sort of consolidation. So there's some support levels if we are going to trade higher. But we will see. We might just blast through and smash through resistance and go. I don't know if anything crazy got brought up at the speeches or not. Again, I don't really follow that sort of stuff, but kind of want something exciting to happen in the next few minutes. Whether we blast through resistance or we get a big rejection here, I would like something exciting to happen. Because I don't think I'll stream too much longer. I got some stuff that I feel like doing in the next 15 minutes or so, but yeah, we'll see what happens for the next little bit. Let's really zoom in here. We can see what the heck's going on. A little rejection at the 786, hey? Chart Jeff. Yeah. All right, let's get Jeff in here. That's not the right Jeff. Where's Chicken Jeff? Give me the contract address. I'll look up some Jeff. Yeah, seeing a little bit of resistance at that 786 again. Come on, nuke this Ponzi. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, realistically, that weekly candle, we're going to have to see how we close tomorrow. But we did really just pull back into this candle body and got that nice reaction. So there is a lot of strength there. Like I said, the market isn't near as long heavy as I thought it was going to be at this level. I really thought that we would have had retail at like 70% long, and the fact that it's only around 50% makes me think there is actually more fuel to the upside. But we are at those resistance levels, so I am leaning more towards the bearish setups in the trades. However, I am more so being cautiously bearish because of, well, that factor alone. Really curious to see how this 4 hour closes. If it closes up above the 786, yeah, I think it's most likely that we at least fill this whole box. That would take us to 71.3, somewhere in there. But honestly, even at that point, we might just continue carrying on towards all-time highs. This is all good and all, but what do you do when your Zealandin doesn't have enough crushing blow against the Ubers? Well, then I'd make a Smite Paladin, obviously. Love me some Diablo. I think on the next Diablo 2 reset, I'm going to make a classic hardcore character. Diablo 4 isn't quite as fun as Diablo 2. I never got my 20 years of enjoyment out of it. Senator Cynthia Loomis plans to announce legislation for strategic Bitcoin reserve at Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville. So let's say that the government, let's just say any big entities like that end up getting into Bitcoin and it does end up being a very bullish fundamental. The thing is, the people involved with that kind of behavior have way deeper pockets than us and way more patience than us. So even if they are going to get involved, chances are they aren't going to FOMO the top and pump our bags, right? I think that's one misconception that a lot of people have, that, oh, hey, this company's accepting Bitcoin now, or this company bought some Bitcoin. Yeah, but they already bought it, or they're going to after a dip or something like that, right? They're not going to just FOMO the top because they never got to where they are by FOMOing the top of markets. That's just my opinion, anyways. But there's a very good chance that I misunderstand fundamentals, and that's why I just look at colorful charts instead. Special shout out to Dan either with the Diablo comment. He actually is the animator who made my bumper animation for all my YouTube videos. Much appreciated, Dan. There's contact info if anyone needs animation work done, I believe. I don't know if he's still doing side work like that or not, but very talented. The only thing artistic I can do is play with crayons, and I usually eat the things. Just kidding. Update the bumper animation? Well, you're the one with the artistic eye. That sure isn't me. If you could like throw these charts with the MDX ALGO indicators somehow, that would be super sick. I could even contact a guy and see if he wants one done as well. Hidden bearish divergence on the oscillator. Yeah, like even though we still do have this buy trend, there's just some red flags starting to appear, right? Oh, bearish divergence showing up on this indicator too. Green continuation dot. I'm getting some mixed signals, but yeah, there's some warnings. Definitely be careful at these levels, guys. The RSI is kind of in no man's land. I don't have a strong opinion about that right now. Dan, should we play some Diablo? Come on, nuke this thing. I just want to see this thing just get devastated. I want to throw out, I do this every video, you guys. I'm going to throw out a trigger warning right now, especially if you are a moon boy. What I'm about to show you, I want to be very clear about this. I don't think this is probable, but it's absolutely possible because it's happened in the past and when people have thought that it was impossible. If this was any chart other than the weekly, I know a lot of you guys know where I'm going with this. Um, let's just look at this for the market structure that it is. Pretend these numbers aren't here because they're big and scary, right? And they don't feel realistic when the moves play out. So let's just look at market structure. If this was not a weekly chart, if this was a 5-minute chart or a 1-minute chart, and I had that bearish structure break, we have the loss of trend, we have the pullback to the 786, 886, we got this crazy overextended RSI divergence. Basically, if I was looking at playing this, yeah, the initial target did happen already, right? The range play already did happen. But if this signal, and it often does on shorter time frames, I've showed it many times in the VIP on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 1 hour. I've showed you examples now, actually earlier this video, on the weekly, other times it's happened. I'm usually looking for the opposite end of the swing. If the whole, if it is going to be an official reversal signal, and if we are going to pull up that Fibonacci from the opposite end of things, we got some very low targets in sight. That would be down. This bullish super fib pocket is from basically 28 to 22,000 US dollars. And I know right now this does not feel realistic. And I also don't think it feels realistic right now. But if this was any other chart other than the weekly, I would at least be considering that as a very realistic possibility. So if there is some sort of a black swan event, if this trend does get that violent reaction to the downside, anything like that, basically if we start losing, let's say the 0.5 fib like this, I'm just going to start setting limit order buys at these fibs. Because if we do get that sort of a thing, and again, I don't think it's probable, but if we get it, I want to be ready for it, because in my opinion, that's not going to last. I think if we end up seeing that, we get some sort of a crazy like wick down in there, but then reclaim it quickly and start trending very aggressively to the upside. And I think that would be the kind of event that would be, a V-shaped recovery and actually have momentum and smash through all-time highs and go absolutely parabolic. So I don't want to sound all doom and gloom if that is to happen. I would actually be very excited. Again, I really don't think we're necessarily dropping there, but it's a possibility, right? Because it never felt like that was going to happen back here. The exact same chart setup. Look at that. We basically came, filled that fib pocket, candle bodies closing very near the 786, and the wicks going right into that pocket and even a little beyond, and then absolutely blast off from there, right? So that's where if we start dumping through some of these important fibs, I really want to have those limit orders in place, because I don't think it's going to last. And people are going to be very scared and think that's going to be one of the 5 million times that Bitcoin has died, right? You see those the 100 obituaries of Bitcoin or whatever, and it says all the times that Bitcoin has been apparently dead, and then it always comes back, right? So something to watch for. Yeah, we're starting to curl to the downside a little bit here on the 1 minute. Really want to see that lower sell signal. If we get a lower sell signal, I'm going to actually bump my stop loss up a little more to just above this structure level, basically. Because if we invalidate some lower sell signals, I just think that there's a good chance that there's some strength there. Wish I had some more coffee. Might have to grab a beer or something. You know what? I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Am I long? I'm short. Cheers, legends. Holy hell. Well, if I'm gonna have a drink, I may as well have a blasty blast as well. But no, I am still short from this one up here. I still don't know if this one's gonna play out or not. Had two juicy shorts earlier, but yeah, just playing the Stuber fib basically. There is some strength here. I'll give it that. There's a hidden bullish divergence here. Still trying to hold that buy signal. Never did get the lower sell yet, so we'll see if that happens. RSI doing anything cool yet? No, not really. The only time I really care about the RSI is when it starts getting really overextended. And that a lot of people misunderstand that. I know I've said this in videos before as well, that a lot of people think if just because the RSI is, let's say, overbought, for example, let's just say somewhere like right here, that doesn't necessarily mean that things are overbought, right? It's actually, the indicator's called the relative strength index. So that's actually just showing a shit ton of strength as long as things are trending to the upside. It's more so when they get a very specific RSI divergence, or you're getting some sort of, let's say a double top or a Stuber fib entry or something like that, and then also getting this overextended down towards the 70 level, getting that divergence like that. Matched up with another trade setup, that's just kind of some confluence that I love to see with the RSI. It's not so much thinking that, hey, just because we're down here we're oversold, up here we're overbought. That's not necessarily always the case. In fact, if you ever did that in a weekly chart, for example, basically whenever Bitcoin is in overextended conditions, that's when it's a bull market. Because it's just showing that there's a shit ton of buying pressure, right? Yeah, this divergence down here makes me question this bearish setup here, but we'll see what happens. We got one back here too, and nothing came of it, so. Notice that even though I'm trading the 1 minute, it's a very relaxed approach. That's the thing. Like if you're using high leverage, please use small margin. Don't over trade. Don't revenge trade a bunch. That's the thing with trading the 1 minute chart. It can lead to a lot of bad habits, right? Over trading, revenge trading, over leveraging yourself, all those bad habits we're supposed to avoid. Trading the 1 minute can lead to a very dangerous spiral of that. So trading the 1 minute is not for everybody. I just wanted to hop into the 1 minute and check it out while things are volatile like this. And I personally like trading the 1 minute. So to each their own, right? I was really hoping to get a more volatile move after touching this level here. I'd like something exciting to happen here for you guys. Yeah, I don't know if how many of you guys who are still here with me were here earlier, but this Trendmaster indicator, I'll actually turn off the rest of them so it'll look a little bit different. But this Trendmaster indicator, MDX Crypto actually added a StuTube trading, basically preset indicator settings. So with this indicator, you select that, and then you automatically have the settings that I have with it for my scalping setups. Again, they it's not that I take every sell signal, every buy signal, anything like that, but I really like to use them to help me point out which way the market is trending. So, you know, if I have downward sloping sell signals, then I'm more likely to take bearish setups, for example. Um, yeah, just gotta take my PEDs here to keep me calm. Don't want to make any rash decisions here. How degenerate can we get here? Get to our octroi. Never did get that contract address from Jeff, because this is not the one that he's talking about. I know for a fact. Yeah, seeing a little bit of a correction, but man, that's been a nice move to the upside. And I mean, everybody's fucking seen this viral stuff, and everybody, I mean, that's just a hilarious meme, right? As soon as I started seeing that on TikTok and Twitter and stuff like that, it was like, oh, there's gonna be a coin any day now. And yeah, sure enough, there it was. So yeah, to see it break out of this tight little consolidation, you know what, it survived its first initial pump and dump. I know when a chart looks dead like this, I mean, that's just a typical bear market. You can look at Bitcoin and it looks the exact same in some of the earlier market cycles. So that does just look like a complete market cycle. That's pretty funny. It did survive. Not saying it's going to all-time highs, but if it does, and since I've already taken some profits, because I mean, that's what I do with meme coins. I downsize the risk relatively quickly. If we do get to all-time highs, I mean, that's like a damn near 20x. That'd be like 100 mil market cap. That's actually pretty crazy. Oh, meme coins. I love crypto. Yeah, so this trend master indicator, that's the one I really like using for helping me spot a trend. Trend dynamic indicator, this is the one that just makes my chart beautiful. I love the way those colors pop. Auto charting tools, that'll help us notice the trend as well. And what I also like to use with this auto charting tools is I like to pull Fibonacci's from some of these swing points. I had pointed that out earlier, that like I use this type of a setup for taking some of my profits down here on those last two shorts. So yeah, just using those signals with Fibonacci's can be a good strategy there. For those of you in the MDX ALGO community, you would know Captain Pumpy, Jay. He did a very in-depth video with the auto charting tools as well as the RSI. I had a little section in each of those videos, and he's super good at explaining everything. He breaks everything down, truly understands it phenomenally, and very good to learn from. So I highly recommend it. I will actually, I don't know what the hell I'm doing as far as adding things to my screen and stuff. I'm a tech boomer basically, but I'll be sure to share a couple of his videos. I'll put them in the video description when I'm done this, and share them on Twitter, because yeah, I do a little section in that about pulling Fibonacci's from the auto charting points. So yeah, still just, man, we're just really struggling right below this Stuber fib box here. I really just want to see that lower sell signal and then see it dump off a cliff. Can we see any liquidation levels on a 1 minute chart? Not so much. You can see though, that's how this indicator can be so helpful, right? That as far as the liquidations, more so than entering positions, I like to use it as take profits, and that's actually another reason I forgot to mention as far as taking profits down at these levels is that's high leverage liquidity, right? That's 100x's, and I think the red might actually be 200 or 250x. Basically high leverage liquidity, liquidation levels. So, you know, a lot of people bought into the FOMO of Trump speaking and that sort of stuff. And then their liquidation levels started forming down here. So Mr. Market Maker pushes the price, grabs that strong liquidity, especially high leverage liquidity like that. You're more likely to target those levels because they're always going to be quicker and easier to grab, right? So that's another way I love using these indicators, those liquidation levels. Beautiful take profit levels. I usually try and front run them a little bit just in case, but whenever we get to those levels, I always make sure I start nibbling a little profit. And there's so many of these indicators that I never touch on. There is such crazy things involved with so many of these indicators as far as like ETF inflows and outflows, and just way better versions of checking out volume, and you know, there's just so many price GPT things that are automatically predicting the price. There's so many awesome indicators in this bundle, but I'm a creature of old habits. I have my few indicators that I really like. I have my strategies that I like to trade, and that's about it. So but there's other people in the group with videos explaining how to use them, Captain Pumpy being one of them. There is some just phenomenal indicators in the group, depending how deep you want to get into understanding analysis. My minimum TP level as far as this short goes, I'm targeting this fib down here, because this is the Fibonacci range that I'm looking to play. 0.5 fib is TP1. The 214 would be my TP2, which that's the main target that I have if this reversal is going to happen. That's because that's the opposite 786. But I mean, it's hard to say if we're actually going to get all the way down there is all. That buy signal is just hanging on for dear life. It just will not give up. Good job, Bulls. I should also say that's not necessarily my minimum TP level down here. I will often start scaling out of positions early depending how structure changes, right? Because as I was saying earlier, it's more important to be able to react than predict. So let's say we do something like this where we drop down, set a lower low, lower high, lower low, another lower low, so we have a lower high, and then we break that level and do something like this. That's where I would be looking at scaling out of my position early. I would still be leaving some with a break-even stop loss in case it keeps dumping later. But just since there would be that structure break, I would be looking to downsize my position, make sure I pay myself a little bit, make sure I'm paying my fees, and all that sort of stuff. So just a little bit of risk management there, just kind of reacting if the structure changes in a way that I wasn't ready for or wasn't expecting, more so. That's why it's so hard too in like the Discord as far as sharing how my positions are going, especially if I'm on the go, like out in public or something. When you're trading a 1 minute chart, the structure can change so fast. And even as far as taking entries, like all of a sudden you catch something uh, just at a last minute glance kind of a thing. It's like, oh, I actually look like I'm in a super fib setup right now. Okay, I'm going to enter my position. Um, if you don't get into that position in the next minute or two on a 1 minute chart, there's a good chance that position is already come and gone, right? Uh, whether it's played out or you just don't have a very good entry anymore or whatever. So by the time I would actually enter a trade, set my stop losses, set my take profits, take a screenshot, explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I am, because it's more important to understand why, so you're not blindly copying kind of a thing, right? Because I lose trades too. Um, but that's why I usually share them after, because it's still valuable information, because the more you see it, the more you will see it on your own. But that's just the thing with trading shorter time frames, is that understand that if you're trading a shorter time frame, you have to be able to react a lot quicker. If you're slow at deciding, and if you're slow at setting your orders, just slow at reacting in general, nothing wrong with that, but maybe just stay away from really short time frames, because it can get very stressful, and you have to be quick at setting orders, at taking your entries. If you're waiting for a confirmation, you might not have long, and especially I've seen people trade under the 1 minute. I mean, I've tried it before. I find the 1 minute is kind of my sweet spot, where everything is fast, but I am still able to keep up with my brain. I've tried trading the 15-second before, and I just found that I was having such a hard time keeping up with the price action and actually seeing those structure breaks and stuff, that it just gets to be too much. So everyone has their own trading that works for them. If you're trading short time frames, just make sure that you are the type of person who can react quickly and can set orders quickly. What is this position sitting at? Got a 24% profit so far. Also, check this out, you guys. As far as the macro time frame goes, I'm actually going to remove everything. I was talking about the Trendmaster StuTube indicator setting. So this is with the StuTube. The back testing on the shorter time frames is actually quite low, but it's, again, there's a certain way that I use the indicator. But look at this on the longer time frame, just absolutely nails it with all of these signals. It has a back testing 5-star rating, net profit of 1400%. The win rate 50%. I would actually say it's significantly higher, because I assume you'd be taking profits along the way on this sort of a thing. But basically, the way I'm seeing it, every single, from the start of time, every single weekly signal that this gave was an absolute banger. Beautiful bull run market signal there, called the bear market descending triangle break. Got that buy signal. The only signal that really failed, in my opinion, is this sell signal, and that's where COVID kind of fooled the markets. There was that black swan event that pushed the markets down in a crazy way like that. It thought the market was changing directions, basically. However, then the money printer turned on, and then we just absolutely blasted off. But then very quickly we got that buy signal. Boom, beautiful bull market. Got this sell signal. Yeah, we had already started dropping down to 30K, but the market did go down another 50%. And the buy signal in this bull market, also a beautiful call. So absolutely crushing the macro trend with that. And that is another reason why, I'm open to the idea of actually invalidating my bearish setup on the weekly, is because we did find support on this trend. It's been running for a long time, so that can obviously change at any time. But that is at least one more thing going for the bulls there, is that some fairly strong support right there. Yeah, pretty sweet. Hey, with the StuTube settings, got this box, comes up, tells you what the signal is at so far. Backtesting info. Pretty cool. Beautiful indicators. And again, just looks sharp as hell. Beauty. Oh, there's our lower sell signal. Will this nuke us? You know what? I'll take a drink to that. Cheers. And a little blasty blast. You know what? I'm actually going to update my stop loss to break even right now, because since we got a lower sell signal like that, and we also got this higher low signal here. Yeah, there's a couple things that, higher high, higher low. There is a few bullish things showing up, so I think I just want to protect myself right now. I can always find a new trade later. I just don't feel like taking a loss right now, because I feel like if the bears are going to gain control right now, it's going to happen fairly quickly. If we start getting back above the 786, I'm going to kind of lose a little bit of confidence in that resistance, if that makes sense. How many of you guys are in positions right now? Longs, shorts? Also, so even though my stop loss is now at break even, also, if we happen to get a higher buy signal, I will be downsizing my position as well. If I happen to be able to take some profits at that point, then great. If I end up getting stopped at break even before that, then whatever. Flip-flopping both ways. Yeah, I've honestly been trading both ways. Like I said last night, I got myself into that long. I'm not in it anymore. But yeah, I'll still trade both ways. That's the thing. Like, I am quite bearish on the weekly chart, the 4-hour chart, and stuff like that. But I'm still open to the idea to getting an invalidation of that theory. Just right now, I just see some red flags is all. But I'll still take, if there's a decent range. Like, this is one of those things where this was actually a fairly nice run here, so I think that if we got a pull back to the Stuber fibs, I think there'd be a long position to take here. I personally think if I'm still in this short here, I would definitely be taking some profits down at these levels, and I would also be strongly considering taking a hedge long. So I think if we do drop to these levels, I think there's absolutely a possibility for a good reaction there. And obviously I'd start taking profits on the way up as well. That's the thing. More of a scalper. I'm very quick to start downsizing my positions. Hitting that sell resistance right now with the indicator. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I just cannot shake my bearish feeling on the macro time frame. Like, again, I will take longs on the shorter time frames, but I more so want to hang on to, like, I want to hodl a short right now. I want to FOMO into shorts right now. Even though I'm willing to take longs, I'm a lot more picky on them right now. I just can't shake that feeling that we are at resistance. Happy to be invalidated. Like I said, when I think it was like June 13th when we were trading, well, pretty much at these levels, I did sell a little bit of my spot bags, but for the most part, I still have my spot. It's more so that I was looking at starting to short the market more so as a hedge and just trading that direction. But like, I'm still bullish on crypto as a whole. It's just that I understand sometimes markets like to go both ways. Like, from this higher low signal, I can tell you right now that, you know, there was a bit of a reaction from the Stubers there. Right in the 786, there's that bit of a reaction. But again, that lower sell signal, that's just kind of, and also the bigger Stuber fib obviously up ahead. Yeah, I'm just very open to the idea. It already kind of looks like that FOMO from Trump speaking. Honestly, I don't even know if people are still speaking or not. It just kind of looks like he came out and spoke, the market got excited, and now we got a lower sell signal, and we got rejected at a classic Stuber fib setup, and it looks just like any other chart that I would like to short. So what are our W's doing? I actually want to get rid of these TPs. Add reversal warnings, because those are my OG signals that I've loved trading the direction of. Reversal warnings, so we do have one up here. The cross W's and the circular W's are different indicators. I like the round ones. So I would love to see a lower high W come into play as well. Even on the bottom side, if we started seeing downward trending W's. Just another thing pointing out the trend, right? Again, not using each signal individually. Like, I wouldn't take, even though it played out that way at this point, that this W was a reversal signal, I don't typically play them on their own. It's more so looking for which way they're trending. And that's also something I use for not only looking for entries, but also looking for take profits. Like, if we start dumping off a cliff now, we don't quite make it to my first take profit, and all of a sudden we get some sort of a reversal warning, and then we get a higher reversal warning, I am absolutely going to be taking some profits, because even though this is not necessarily going to reverse, there's a bit of a warning just because they start trending to the upside. Just another way that I like to use these indicators for a little bit of risk management. Just so you guys know, I believe tomorrow I will be doing a live stream with the Financial Summit on their YouTube channel. I was actually supposed to today, but with Trump speaking and stuff, Tone Vase, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him, he was covering that. So I am going to be streaming tomorrow, I believe. So something to watch for. I'll be posting it on Twitter and in the Discord and stuff. But basically doing this, right? Just hopping into some more degenerate time frames and live analyzing, seeing how the market's acting. So if you do like looking at the 1 minute and stuff with me, then definitely join us. Volatility imminent. I agree. I really think that we're going to take a little dump here soon. And if not, there's more strength here than I think, and that's why I want to be stopped out at break even at this point. But just the way things look right now, I just feel like there's a little bit of a correction coming again. Yeah, there it is. Um, I'm gonna get ready to start taking profits here. If there's a big candle close that's significantly down like that with these bright green candles like this, I'm actually just gonna close a quarter of it. Just because with an aggressive, yeah, after this candle close, I'm gonna close 25% of my position. Actually, 20%. I'll close 20% of my position on this candle close. And that kind of goes towards earlier someone was asking how I take profits. This is just one of those things, right? Candles are getting bright green like that, just showing that, hey, maybe it's time to start buying rather than selling. Maybe it's a reason that I should take a little profits, because I just like to downsize my risk very quickly when I get into positions. So yeah, I'm going to close 20% of my position right here. I mean, I'm at a 50.55% profit. I closed 20%. Stop loss is at break even. So at this case, or at this point, this is risk free. Fees are paid. I'm paid a little bit. And from there, we see what happens. Where's the last bullish W's down here? That's kind of weird. That's a messy one because it would actually be a higher W. However, there's a bunch of chart in the middle of it breaking it up, right? It's not like it was on the same trend. So I don't know how I feel about that. But a reversal warning would just be another thing that just saying that, hey, there is a warning, right? And again, using high leverage on a 1 minute chart, I'm looking for any reason to start taking profits. So that's why I just closed 20%. Well, you were right. That volatility was imminent. I'd love to see this just absolutely nuke from here. 68.2 high of the weekly level to probably bounce. Honestly, at this point, when we start losing structure like this and start retracing a move, I just have to assume we're heading towards the 786. I know I'm actually pointing out the 214, but again, basically the 786, right? Because from this swing, at least that's where I like to take my entries from. So I am more so looking for a bounce down at these levels. Down at like 67.2 rather than 68.2. That's just me personally, though. I mean, everyone looks at things different, right? We can trade totally different and both be profitable. Or we can both lose. Yeah, I just want to see this thing nuke here real quick. That would make for exciting because, you know, it's nice that we got to even enter a position live on stream here and seeing it playing out exactly how we expect out of a Stuber fib, right? I mean, obviously they're not all going to work out, but it's nice being able to show one live like that. Um, I am going to set a take profit order, just front running this a little bit with about 30% of my original position because I already closed 20%. If we end up hitting my range target here, then I just want half my position open just in case we keep running. But there's a good chance that, you know, hey, that's the 786. That's potentially a bullish setup. So if I would be willing to take a long at that position, I should probably be willing to close some of my short at that level because it's an expected bounce point, right? Yeah, I'll probably say like 67.3. I'll set my take profit. Again, only on part of my position because, like I said, I love catching that runner. You know, if I'm right, if that theory is correct that this was a perfect top on a weekly, you know, a big weekly 4-hour Stuber Fibonacci like that, if I'm correct and that is a pinpoint reversal and we do get that massive weekly nuke, I'd be kicking myself for closing the entire position, right? That's just why I like to ladder into positions, ladder out of positions. Honestly, my average entry would have been a little bit better had I been more on the ball. Because, I mean, you guys were here with me that basically the price was at this level when I notice this. So I kind of entered a little bit late, but had I been ready, I would have loved to ladder in right at the 886 as well, and I would have brought my average entry up a little bit, but whatever. Either way, it's a winning position at this point. But even using these indicators and using them to predict things ahead of time, you know, I was talking about the fact that, hey, we did set a much lower buy signal. Watch for the lower sell signal as well. And we did get that, and it did push us down a little lower. So even if you were just scalping that signal alone, I mean, you'd be sitting in a decent little profit right now. Taking profits along the way, obviously. Meme coins. So fun. Like I said, guys, if you weren't here earlier, have this promo on Blofin, a no KYC exchange. I have cranked up the cashback for trading fees, the most that they'll allow me to for you guys. So you get 20% of your trading fees back if you use my link. And as well have this promo going on. Unfortunately, it's only a few more days, so you missed most of it if you aren't already taking part. But some pretty cool prizes there. I mean, if you read the small print, it's more so you get paid USDT for the amount to cover one of these. So be sure, if you are taking part, read the fine print on my Twitter page there. But yeah, pretty cool prizes there. Nice cash back for deposits for a trading fee bonus, or a trading trial fund bonus kind of a thing. Yeah, still holding this sell signal trend, right? So that's another thing. We start closing candle bodies above this resistance of this sell indicator, especially since it's a lower sell indicator. Like I said, that's such a powerful signal, you know, when you start to see which way these signals are trending like that. Just a beautiful sell signal. But yeah, obviously if we end up breaking above that, there's a good chance that we're going to see a higher buy signal as well. And in that case, obviously I will want to downsize my risk. I'll want to pay myself a little bit, etc., etc. Because as a scalper, I mean, at this point, I mean, this is a beautifully running position at this point as far as leverage trading, high leverage trading on a 1 minute chart. There's no shame in taking profits at this point. And I mean, we're basically at what my original TP1 would have been. You know, I'm going to hang on to the rest still. I TP'd that first a little bit early, but you know, I have no risk on this trade at this point. And again, just because of the potential size of bearish move that could happen if this was an exact reversal, I kind of just want to hold on to what I can as far as a bearish setup right now. That's the thing. I'm willing to trade on with in a bullish position, but I'm more so quicker to downsize my position, quicker to close bigger amounts of a long position, quicker to cut my losses. I'm just more so favoring my bearish setups currently, just because I can't shake that bias. Yeah, the bear bias, the one that the arrow was pointing to. That one. You know what, guys? I think at this point, I got some stuff that I want to do, so I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream here. You already know what I'm thinking on the markets at this point. If you missed the start of the stream where I was talking about some longer time frames and stuff, by all means, I will share this on my YouTube channel here, so you can always go back and watch it. Yeah, I'm glad that we got to take a Stuber short setup here live on stream with you guys. That's always fun, and glad to see that it played out like this, and just kind of to see my thought process while I'm looking at this kind of a setup, why I took it, how that fib pullback worked, and so on. Because it's very easy when you start trading back towards resistance, it's very easy to get very bullish at resistance, just like it's easy to get bearish at support. And those fibs really help to keep things structured and just to help keep your emotions intact. So that's why I love using them. Thank you so much for you guys for joining. Always appreciate having you guys in my streams, and especially on this one. Very excited to do it the odd time. I would like to start doing it on my own channel a little more, but like I said, I'm going to be doing it on the Financial Summit a little more and stuff like that too soon here, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, thanks again so much for joining, and those of you in the MDX ALGO community, I'll be talking to you guys throughout the night as well, obviously. For those of you guys who are new here and are not in the MDX ALGO community, there is a 10% additional discount down below. There's a whatchamacallit, affiliate link, special bonuses there and stuff like that. So yeah, by all means, that's where I get all my favorite indicators, and as well, on top of that, I think more than half the value is actually being a part of that community and everybody teaching each other. Everyone there gets along so well. Just a wonderful community. So if you aren't there, you should check it out. And yeah, other than that, like I said, I'm mostly trading on Blofin these days. No KYC exchange. So if you need a new no KYC exchange or just want a backup account or whatever, I've got that promo going for a few more days here. And yeah, other than that, Leggies, I think I'm out. Hopefully we reach my targets down here. Thinking about opening up a hedge long if we do target those levels. But yeah, that would basically be my target range. I mean, there's a chance that we blow past and we do just get a double bottom or something like that. But whatever, this is kind of more so that 786 where I'm looking for, as far as just tighter risk, more likely to hit kind of a target. So if things do get quite bullish and we set a higher low, we might not necessarily get right to the bottom of the range. So that's why I'm targeting the 786 on the opposite side there. So with that, I think you guys all know my opinion. And yeah, be safe, my friends. Remember, these are kind of dangerous levels as far as the market goes, because we could, I could be wrong. We could blast through this resistance and absolutely, nuke to the upside, blast through all-time highs and that sort of thing. Just understand that there is some red flags and we are trading at resistance. So just be careful at these levels, you guys. With that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.